Have you ever been frustrated with a horse that keeps popping its shoulder outside of your aids? Oh, so annoying. Well, have I got the solution for you. Welcome to the new and improved exercise of the month video, Betwixt Two Ferns. If you don't get that reference, then I don't think me and you can be friends. Sorry for the radio silence lately. It's just been really busy with grad school, and we just completed our first 3-phase last weekend, which is super exciting, and vlog coming up on that soon. I couldn't keep up with this series weekly like I had hoped, so I'm going to change it to monthly, and hopefully I can maybe manage that. Maybe go back to weekly after I graduate, which will be next May, and I'll probably have more and exciting exercises because we'll have advanced, hopefully by then. If you're new to my channel, welcome. Thank you so much for subscribing. It means the world to me. This series is how I show you different ways to set up your arena to be able to do different exercises with your horse, and it's a different type of exercise every time I do it, and I explain it, and then I show you how I did it with my horse Buck, who's a 5-year-old and very green and knows very, very little, but we're getting there. So without further ado, let's just get right into the video, shall we? So this exercise really doesn't need any setup at all, but I did put 4 ground poles, single ground poles, on each side of the square. You'll see those marked with a standard so you can see where they are in the video. It's not necessary at all, but it is what makes this exercise more of a 2-for-1. The main nuts and bolts of this exercise is to teach yourself how to ride both sides of your horse without him blowing through your outside aids. But the perk of having the ground poles is lately I've been kind of lunging over the jump for Buck, and that's caused him to really start refusing even just small little cross rails, because we're going along and all of a sudden I'm just like lunging ahead of stride and ahead of him without him in front of my leg, and he says, "Oh, I'm gonna duck out because that feels awful." So I'm trying to teach myself, especially at the canter, to stay back, sit. You can sit a single ground pole, just do it softly. Stay back, let him figure out the striding, and let him come to me instead of me try to lunge over him. So that's the purpose of the ground pole for me in this exercise. Like I said, the main purpose of this exercise is to teach you how to ride both sides of your horse. So to do that, you start at a walk and you map out a square. And you want to do it away from the edges of the arena so that your horse isn't just following the arena rail. So he's actually listening to your aids. And to go through the corner of your square, I want you to do this with your outside aids. You're not going to pull on your inside rein. If you have to totally drop your inside rein altogether so you're not tempted to do that, then please do so. As you approach the corner, think about a half halt. Put your weight behind, like think of putting your center of gravity back, so that encourages the horse to put its weight on its hind end so that it can turn his forehand around freely. So think about weight behind, get him in front of your leg, and then you're going to ask with your outside leg at the girth to just yield his forehand. So it's going to feel like a walking turn on the haunches, which is what you want. So you're asking your horse to push his shoulder over. So it's like outside forehand over inside forehand through the corner. I hope that makes sense. But it should feel like a walking turn on the haunches. That's kind of an exaggerated feeling, but to teach yourself something, you have to exaggerate it first. So do that around the corners, and you'll start to see that your horse kind of figures out like to listen to that outside aid and not just blow through it. So if you feel him start to blow through it, think about sitting your weight kind of back into the inside and ask him to turn his forehand with your outside leg. Your outside rein should kind of be closed, and you shouldn't really be doing anything with your inside aids at this point at all. So do this at the walk, do this at the trot, and then you'll start blending your aids. So you'll start adding inside leg to have him bend his flank. Do that on the long side of the square first, and then make your corner. And then start blending it more and more, and you'll start making a nice 20-meter circle. And once your horse kind of figures out to listen to the outside and the inside, you won't find him trying to blow through your outside so much. And when he does, he learns what that means to come back, bring his shoulder back into your aid track. So if he does start blowing his outside shoulder out, kind of open your outside rein to contain him inside of your aids and then bring him back. I hope that makes sense. If you're having a lot of trouble with your horse learning this, then start from the ground first. I have a lot of videos about how to ask your horse to disengage his forehand and his haunches from the ground. I don't know how much I really explain all of that, but if you want further instruction on that, let me know, and I'll try to make some more ground videos on how to do that to transfer into the saddle. But as you can see, once I start riding both sides of my horse and get him supple and connected, he's actually starting to round his top line and step underneath himself and get in front of my leg, and it's just a much better feeling than struggling and fighting and him always popping his shoulder out. This type of exercises just kind of build up your repertoire and give your horse more things to think about. So you're not just constantly doing circles, having a fight, trying to get him on the bit. You actually get him to round and supple by teaching him different aids, and then he kind of just naturally starts to round and go on the bit and bring his hind end up under him and get him in front of your leg. So that's why I like to do different types of exercises like these. As you see at the end here, at the canter, we are not strong enough to try to do the corner, so I just kind of went straight into just cantering a circle, kind of blending my aids at the same time. And all I'm trying to do is just sit back, let him kind of figure out his striding. I'm not the one that has to tell him when to take off. He kind of has to start to figure that out for himself. So I'm just trying to sit back, keep him in front of my leg, and balance myself and him as best I can, and let him come to me. I'm not trying to jump that ground pole for him. So as you can see, I get left behind a little bit, but that's actually better than me lunging myself forward. So this is just kind of a little exercise to kind of help teach me get that in my head for once those ground poles start to become cantering jumps, which that's really starting to pay off for us because we're able to actually canter up to jumps now, which we couldn't do a few weeks ago if you've seen my recent struggles with jumping. So that's really starting to come along. We had a great time this past weekend at Poplar Place. We actually finished a 3-phase, so that was very exciting. There'll be a vlog coming up on that very shortly. And thank you guys so very much for watching. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!